Week on, Andy, we're back exactly where we were at the Grand Hyatt in Doha, and very kind of them to look after us on a Sunday night.
I like it.
But what an extraordinary weekend. We thought we might lose Alan Pardew, our second Premier League casualty of the season after Tony Pulis. That hasn't happened,
Nope.
and good luck to them. If Mike Ashley wants to continue with what he's gotten in that vein, why not?
Yeah.
It's nice to see a little bit of loyalty, if you like. Arsenal surprised us perhaps. Ozil scored. I'm thinking about where the stories were. Welbeck is off the mark and running. Liverpool surprisingly beaten. That's 3 defeats in 4 for them. Chelsea, Frank Lampard, of course, inevitably,
Incredible.
with the equaliser that denied them. But I don't think we can start anywhere other than at Leicester, surely. Manchester United 2 up, 3-1 up, lost 5-3. What on earth are we to make of Manchester United right now?
I think we saw what they are. We saw they're a collection of fantastic attacking ability, but they're not a team, and that's obvious from that game. That they were dreadful at the back, not just the back four. I wouldn't just blame them. Van Gaal said it wasn't just the back four, it was everybody, and I agreed. I said in our programme here at beIN Sports that the protection that the back four got was negligible. And Daley Blind, if he keeps on playing like that and has to be asked to play like that, if he's 6'3" now, he'll be 5'3" by the time he leaves this country, because he'll have run himself into the ground. I mean that, but you know, you attack as a team, you defend as a team. That's never changed in the 40 years I've played this game.
Has he got big decisions to make now, though? He publicly stated he wouldn't go away from 3 at the back. He did. You've been of the opinion he was playing 3 because they weren't good enough. Well, plainly that's been underlined this weekend. But if he goes back to it, then he's got to sacrifice somebody, one of his Galacticos, somewhere else, hasn't he?
Well, I've been thinking about tonight since the game finished, and I was thinking, how could he fit everyone into a back 3? He could play a back 3. He could play a right wing back, Raphael probably, a left wing back, might be a Rojo, might be Luke Shaw, it might be Di Maria. But why would you pay £65 million and put a guy who does what he can do as an attacking player, but is not very good going back as that? So you wouldn't play him there. So that means you've got your 5 in there. Then you would have 3 midfield players. You'd have to have one sitting. It could be Daley Blind, and they could play Di Maria and Herrera the other side of him. That would be your 3 midfield players. I could see that. But then 3 into 2 doesn't go.
No.
You then have Falcao, Van Persie and Rooney for 2 positions, and Mata for 2 positions. So 2 of them are going to have to miss out. So if he goes back to playing a back 3, what I think someone's going to have to do, he's going to have to leave out one of his Galacticos. But I don't think, as I've said all along, he'll have to come back to playing a back 4. He'll have to play a back 4. He has for the last 2 games. And unless he's so fearful of what's coming up, that they might get exposed in an even worse extent with a better team, and that's no disrespect to Leicester, but you know, this is not the best team in the land by any stretch of the imagination. And they've got 4 tougher opponents coming up in the next few weeks: Everton, Manchester City, Chelsea and Arsenal. 4 of the next 7 opponents. So that's going to be tough for them. So I don't know what he does, Richard. He's never been one, I'll say that for him, he's never been one to shirk making a decision. He left Mata out against Leicester, who scored 8 goals in 9 games.
Was that really a decision? That was obvious, wasn't it?
For me it was.
He wasn't going to leave Van Persie out, was he? But perhaps that was the more obvious one if he'd had the courage.
But he puts Van Persie in, though, and he scores. So he's justified in his selection of
Mata's
Robin
got
Van
8 and
Persie.
9.
Yeah, and he will feel aggrieved at that. But if he's not going to be part of his plans going on, and Rooney, Van Persie and Falcao obviously are, then he has to stick with them and he has to play them. But what he's got to find behind that is a balance. There's no use Angel Di Maria and Herrera bombing forward all the time and leaving Daley Blind to cope with everything that comes their way, and nobody tries to get back, because what happened to them today will happen again, unless, and I say unless, he gets himself 2 centre-backs worthy of the name centre-back. If he does that, then you can be attacking, you can go forward, you can go and play, and you can go and entertain. If he doesn't, he's going to have to lock in his fullbacks. He's going to have to keep them at home as more often than not, and allow the others just to go and win games, because he cannot keep losing goals the way they are. They were dreadful as a team defensively today. Listen, I know that Manchester United fans will say, but the referee influenced the game. Yes, he did. I'll accept that. He wasn't good. He could have sent the lat off. He should have given a free kick against Vardy. and before the penalty. He should have given a free kick before the second penalty. But even though he did those, there was still enough there to ring alarm bells in Manchester United fans' eyes, who were watching their team be dismantled by Leicester.
4-0 last week against Queen's Park Rangers. False dawn then. It's worth pointing out as well that David Moyes, after 5 games last year, had 7 points, and he played the likes of City and Liverpool,
Chelsea.
Yeah. Van Gaal has 5 points. He's played Sunderland, Swansea, Burnley, Queen's Park Rangers, and now Leicester.
Yeah.
Arsenal?
I'm not surprised. They love Villa Park. They love going there. There was much talk about this virus that spread around Bodymout Heath, the Aston Villa training ground, and decimated the squad, and a lot of the lads were feeling unwell. It certainly looked like that for much of the game because they were second best. Disappointing the way they succumbed in the second half, but Arsenal would be delighted the fact that they in a 3.5 minute spell they totally destroyed Villa with some precision football. Mesut Ozil, you talked about him last time we were on here, about questions about him. He didn't go all the way to answering them, but he went a long way to making himself and his Arsenal fans and his manager feel better, because he played really well. He was influential and big time in the way that they won the game. Danny Welbeck will be happier. He's got himself his first goal for his new club, and we'll wait and see with Villa. I've always thought Villa's start was a false dawn. I don't think they're very good. I think they defend a little better, but they haven't got a goal in them, and Christian Benteke can't return quick enough for them, and until he does, then I fear for them.
Let's rip through the others, because Messrs Reid and Cole are getting anxious. We should have joined them by now. Point gained for Manchester City, or 2 dropped?
Gained at the end, 2 dropped at the beginning, I think. But when you play your biggest rival, whether it's home or away, if you come away unscathed, nothing changed, you're okay. But having lost Zabaleta the way they did, and then losing the goal, I thought they answered a few questions to the detractors who have said they're not made of much, that they're going to succumb again, they're not going to be up for it, they didn't get the stomach for the fight. I thought with 10 men down, they did have the stomach for the fight, and they came back positively, strongly, and funny enough, in an Englishman, they had a guy who gave an example of what's required to win a title, and that was James Milner. Much maligned, spends too much time as being a sub for me, but he showed Manuel Pellegrini that amidst his massive Galacticus and great footballers, that what he gave them today, what he gave them against Chelsea, was fundamental to them getting a result. If he hadn't played, I'm telling you now, if he hadn't played James Milner against Chelsea today, Chelsea would have won.
Great weekend for British coaching. Well done, Alan Irvine, with a 1-0 at Spurs for West Brom. Nigel Pearson, we've already talked about it, out foxing, if you like, Louis van Gaal. And Neil Warnock took Palace to Everton and won by 3 goals to 2. Yeah, we do. Won by 3 goals to 2. I'm thinking about what else there was. Anything else leap out at us that we've forgotten that we perhaps should make mention of? Liverpool. Blindingly obvious. Liverpool, 3 defeats in 4. What next?
I don't know. I thought that when I said without Suarez and without Sturridge, without that ability to conjure up a goal from nothing and influence the game, they looked to me an ordinary side at the weekend. Raheem Sterling at 19 is being asked to conjure up all sorts of magic for them. That's too much to ask. Too much to ask for the kid at that age to be the man. They need others. They haven't got them. I don't see a goal in Henderson. Don't see a goal in Lucas.
Balotelli?
Don't see a goal in Gerrard. Don't see a goal in Barini. Balotelli, we don't know. We know what we're getting with Mario Balotelli. We've talked about this when he arrived. Listen, when he plays well, he can be as good as anyone. That's when. And there's too many whens. When is he going to play well again? When is he going to do this? When is he going to do that? You never had that question when Suarez was there.
No,
he got it every week. He got it every week. So they've got problems. Everton, too many goals conceded for me, Richard. I don't know what Roberto Martinez's philosophy is this year. It's a word that they use a lot in the football at the moment. But they're conceding too many goals. I think sometimes coaches try and be too clever for their own good. They left out Naismith, they left out Morales, 2 very important players who have played a big part in Everton. And they got undone by Crystal Palace. And full marks to Neil Warnock. He's come in, and I think everyone thought with Tony Pulis, that somebody might come in and upset it. He's not. It looks to me like he said, right, I thank you, Tony, for giving me this great squad who work hard for each other, who have got an amazing work ethic, and they've got some fine individual talent. And I think he's taken that on and he said, right, good, thank you very much.
We'll have to go. My arm's aching badly.
It looks
but
like
if
it
you
is.
like listening to Andy Gray at the end of a Premier League weekend, you know where to find us. Same
Yeah,
place
Doha.
every week. We'll see you next week.